Celtic Myths and Legends by T.W. Rolleston. Chapter 6. Tales of the Ossianic Cycle. Keelta and St. Patrick. It was said that one of the Fianna, namely Keelta, lived on to a great age and saw St. Patrick, by whom he was baptized into the faith of the Christian Christ, and to whom he told many tales of Finn and his men, which Patrick's scribe wrote down. And once Patrick asked him how it was that the Fianna became so mighty and so glorious that all Ireland sang of their deeds, as Ireland has done ever since. Keelta answered, "Truth was in our hearts, and strength in our arms, and what we said, that we fulfilled." Of course, they were probably not told that Christ implied that such being was not independent or superior in a way that you would say a god. Now, a Messiah called of God, you would have to say superior, but not superior over the God that called the Messiah. And certainly not an independent actor, a representative. And requires that God to decide, okay, you're Messiah. This was also the tale of Keelta. Christos is the Greek word for the high priest of the land, basically, too. So this was also told of Keelta after he had seen the so-called St. Patrick and received that faith. He chanced to be one day by Leni and Connacht, where the fairy folk of the Mound of Duma were wont to be sorely harassed and spoiled every year by pirates from overseas. They called Keelta to their aid, and by his counsel and valor the invaders were overcome and driven home. But Keelta was sorely wounded. Then Keelta asked that Owen, the seer of the fairy folk, might foretell how long he had to live, for he was already a very good aged man. Owen said, "It will be 17 years, O Keelta, of fair fame, till thou fall by the pool of Tara, and grievous that will be to all the king's household. Even so did my chief and lord, my guardian and loving protector Finn, foretell to me." Loving protector Finn foretell to me, said Keelta. "And now, what fee will you give me for my rescue of you from the worst affliction that ever befell you?" "A great reward," said the fairy folk, "even youth, for by our art we shall change you into a young man again with all the strength and activity of your prime." "Nay, God forbid," said Keelta, "that I should take upon me a shape of sorcery or any other than that which my Maker, the true and glorious God, hath bestowed upon me." What? Consulting fortune tellers? That's okay to you, but being changed is somehow going too far? And the fairy folk said, "It is the word of a true warrior and hero, and the thing that thou sayest is good." So they healed his wounds and every bodily evil that he had, and he wished them blessings and victory, and went his way. So the tales of the Ossianic cycle reach into the area of what's considered more appropriate to be passing on. The other tales would have been, perhaps there would have been more of them, but they were not, they might have been considered practicing or encouraging witchcraft. So therefore, people had to be careful with them. But some will say the price of consulting a soothsayer, a claim it to a profit, either consulting in terms of believing in or paying the price. Some people say, oh, well, I'm not doing the witchcraft myself, I'm just paying for it. It's like, why don't you just do it? Then you're completely vulnerable. You spent your money. You're really the same group. That's what I'm saying. But some will say that the price, 40 days of horizons for consulting a fortune teller, whether it's the fortune cookie or whatever, it's something to be wary of. But otherwise, it's like, you can make guesses at your future. Guesses, if you make claims to the unseen, that's a different story. But you're probably better than the others. It's like, okay, the psychologist, when he sits down with his with ink blot cards, or some actually use tarot cards, it's basically the same thing, right? And they want your reaction. They want to hear your reaction. They want to witness your reaction, because they may guide the process, but that's what they do. And that's what I would do if I sat down with someone with cards. I'm not telling their future. I'm looking at their reaction. I'm trying to get them to say, what does this and what does the theme, what does one of the themes anyways apply? How does that apply to you? What can,